So Victor, you'll start it by saying, live from New York.
It's Sulaimán. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for watching us in this WBC Talks, Stay Home, Stay Safe. This is round number 13, and it's one of the most here with all the family. And of course, Jill,
Hey,
that is part of the family. Hello, Jill, from New York.
Hello,
I just want to introduce each of you, starting with Lucy Sulaimán. Lucy, welcome.
How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. Claudia.
Hi.
How you doing? Pepe?
Ready to rumble.
Ah, great. Fernando.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Victor.
Thank you, Fred. And Mauricio Sulaimán. Your microphone.
I was doing a great speech, but hello. Very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
And of course, Jill Diamond, who's going to be hosting this show. She has a lot of surprises for you. Jill.
Oh, you weren't supposed to tell them that.
Jill, this is going to be your show, and this is going to be Jose Sulaimán round. So please go ahead.
I am so privileged and moved to do this. I thank you all. I mean, Don Jose Sulaimán, son, husband, father, grandfather, leader, lover of life, one of the kindest and most humble men I've ever met. As many would say, whether you were a king or a janitor, he made you feel like you were the most important person in the room. He was a man filled with charm and charisma and amazing political savvy. The guy could yell without ever raising his voice and send love just with a smile or a wink of the eye. We are so privileged to have his children with us today. I hate calling you children, but you are his children. And given the difference in your ages, each of you knew a different Don Jose, and that's something we want to find out about. Because you've all traveled different paths, but I've rarely ever met a family that was so connected and so supportive of each other. And that says something about your parents and the home that you were raised in. So when a person is a public figure like Don Jose, we hear many things about him. We learn about their accomplishments. Sometimes we learn about their frustrations and their failures. People that are that big are held to higher standards, and we forget that they're flesh and blood people like the rest of us. So it's rare that we get to see the intimate side of who they really were. So today, we will meet Don Jose Sulaimán through the eyes of his family. Today. And it will be a wonderful privilege for those and a treat for us that knew him. And for those of you who never had the privilege to meet him, I hope after today, you will feel like you actually did. So welcome, I love you all. I have a salad of Sulaimans here. I don't have to say nothing. That's one thing I know. So my first question is, I want to go around to each of you and just give me one word that describes your father best. Lucy.
Absolute love.
Pepe.
Well, it's love, but I'm trying to look for another one. But no, he was he was a loving person.
Mauricio.
Kindness.
Claudia.
Love. There's the only word for him, love.
Fernando.
As the song says, simply the best.
So given that anyone can answer, this is a discussion. What does it mean to you to be a Sulaimán? To be the son of Jose Sulaimán? What does it mean to be a Sulaimán?
Mauricio.
It means Mauricio. For me to be a Sulaiman is my greatest asset. When you present yourself to someone saying you are Jose Sulaiman's son, it immediately opens the door with empathy, with a great positive situation, and it's just a pride. I'm very proud to be Jose Sulaiman's son.
I'm sure that you all are, but I'm sure there's also a burden that comes with that too. There's a lot to reach up to and a lot to aspire to. Have you ever found that it was easier not saying that you were Sulaimán?
No, no, no. All to the contrary, because it is a pride. When you present yourself, it immediately has empathy, has a very positive reaction. And I do not compete with my father. I look up to him and I want to follow his steps. And it's my goal, constant goal, to continue trying to reach his greatness. So I don't compete with him. It inspires me.
In the real
Anyone
world,
else? Pepe?
in the real world, yes, sometimes it's you know, if in the business world, at least here in Mexico, if you say you're a Sulaimán, then they give you double the price. So
So there is an issue.
that is in the real world. But it is, you know, my father taught us to be humble and loving and sharing because he was, and because he lived every situation that you can imagine, and everything that he did was out of that experience in life. And he was truly the man that everybody knows. He wasn't acting, he was from his heart, everything. Loving, compassionate, kind, giving, and just happy person, because that's the way he was. So to be a Sulaimán, we are, he has, I don't know if it's in the DNA or how this thing works, but we are all in different levels, very much like he was, you know, in all this.
So given that, what was his childhood like? What were his parents like? What creates a man like that?
Well, they were very humble. My father is from very humble beginnings. Both of my grandparents are from Lebanon and Syria. And they came to this new world with new opportunities and to discover Mexico that gave them everything. But they really had to work for it. My father was behind the counter at 6 years old and never stopped working in his life. So, you know, it was a life of hard work, of always, you know, struggling, pushing, looking for his dreams, making them happen, and helping people. Because also my grandparents were, you know, were like I mean, he was like that, he is like that, because my grandparents were like that too. So you know, he had great teachers. So did we.
So did you, absolutely. But one thing I have to ask you, because your father was so beloved and so important in his field, what was it like sharing him with so many people? Just like he made you feel you were the only person in the room, you believed that. He was a father to millions. So what was it like sharing him with so many people?
Well, at the beginning, I guess it wasn't so easy. At least I can speak for myself, right? It wasn't so easy because we were used to having him at home and things like that. And but with time, with everything he did and the way he did it, and how he brought people close to him and close to us with so much respect and so much love, as I said. Well, it became a part of our life too. So we consider everybody our brothers and sisters. That's the way my mom and dad brought us up, you know. It's part of our life.
So you have a large, beautiful family that your mother cooks for. Tell me
yeah.
about your mother's part in this.
Well, she has been everything in the world, because she really was the great support for my dad. He was able to do a lot of things and go out and work so hard because she was always taking care of us, you know. She was always taking care of him too. So my mom is great. I mean,
But I've heard about those special meals.
ooh,
Those special meals. I'd love to hear a little bit about those dinners.
we can tell you a lot about them, all of us.
Don King's favorite to begin with.
Yeah, and Julio Cesar Chavez too,
And so many other.
and so many other people that. Mrs. Sulaimán, when are you inviting us for dinner or whatever, you know? They do. And they even ask for certain recipes, certain.
Sounds like a
dishes.
beautiful, complicated, and magical home that you grew up in.
It's
So
beautiful and magical,
I once asked your father, if he wasn't in boxing, what would he do? And he said, I don't know, Jill, but I would have been the best at it. So what do you think he would have done if it wasn't for boxing? And how the heck did he get to boxing?
Well, I believe from his childhood, as he always fought for equality. And back in the day, there was a lot of discrimination against Middle East and Chinese, Oriental, I should say. And for example, he used to tell this story that, as Pepe said, he was behind the counter. He used to go to school, go home, have lunch, and go to the store. And he used to tell this story that one day he came out of the store going home, and some kid yelled at him, "You Arabic SOB, how much for the underwear?" So he came back and he said, "How much? This much," you know, and something like that, you know.
That's a good point. You know, he was very, I don't know, ready to fight when he was needed, you know. He was good.
Well, Mauricio, can you tell me what was your dad's first experience in the ring?
Well, I like Pepe to tell this story because he knows it very well.
Please.
Me? Well, he was with one weekend. There was in the baseball field of the small town where he lived. There was a lot of commotion, and they found out my father and his friends. My father was around maybe 7 or 8 years old, and so they went there, and they had put a boxing ring in the middle of the field for a boxing match. And so my father didn't have money to get in. You know, he peeked through a hole to see what was going on inside. So his friends paid for the ticket, went in, and the guy at the gate asked him, "Are you coming in?" And he says, "I don't have money to pay for the ticket." So the guy told them that he could let him in if he took part in the snack. So my father, said, "Oh, of course, snack." What a deal. So, see, he went in the arena, and in between fights, they put a pair of gloves on him, got him in the ring with another kid, and sounded the bell and started fighting, and my father didn't know what was happening. And at the end of the round, people threw coins to them, so my father was sure that he got really badly beaten by the other kid. but he won because he took off his gloves, you know, and picked up the most coins. So the snack fights in Mexico used to be common when in between fights. So that was my father's first experience in boxing. And from there, you know, he was a boxer. Somebody broke his jaw and he says, no, this is not for me. So he went on to be a referee. He was a judge. He was a commissioner. He went through every step of the ladder, And so he knew boxing intimately.
That's beautiful. So, I mean, here we have in a house 4 men, 4 girls. I'm sure there was some sibling rivalry and some energy that went floating around. Your dad was known as a great peacemaker and a great mediator. How did he deal with it when you guys would mix it up a little bit?
He left it to my mom.
So she was the disciplinarian.
Did
Did it work?
I don't think we never really fought. Do you remember any special events?
I punched Hector a few times.
Me?
We didn't fight.
No.
Jesus, where were you?
Threw a shoe at
Well,
him.
I've heard these stories.
He's been always love and peace and
Yeah.
everything is beautiful. One time, Claudia, she was so mean to me. And one time I went to my parents crying to my father because she really hurt me, okay? I had no t-shirt and she went on my back and went with it like this, with both hands with the nails. So I was crying so much and my father calls her in and she says, "What did you do to Mauricio?" And Claudia says, nothing. He's lying. And I asked her, look at her nails. She had her nails and she started taking all the skin out of the nails. And Fernando was also always hitting me.
Tell your favorite tale. Go ahead.
You don't mind?
No, not at all.
Please do. Come on.
Fernando,
Here.
he's 5 years older than me. So when he started growing up from a boy to a teenager, he went to Hector and Pepe instead of me we wouldn't play anymore. So that hit me very hard. So he would always, he was much powerful. And then one day, he was the 4 boys in my father's study. We were talking and Fernando started picking on me and making me very angry. I finally turned around and boom, I hit him right on the chin. He falls back and he's stuck in a corner. And I started just punching him like that with everything. And Pepe and Hector, instead of taking me away, they say, "Go kill him, take him."
I don't remember that.
What about when you open my nose?
Well, we were playing lottery in the dining room, and he started helping my aunt, who was my favorite. And I got so jealous that Fernando was with her, and he had a problem with a cut in the nose. So I just tapped him in the shoulder. When he turned around, I just popped him and put it up.
Sucker punch me.
You know, they were just showing a picture that I wish they'd bring up again with Don Jose Mandela. Can we see that picture again? That is one of the most amazing accomplishments, and the story behind the picture and the award that he got. And by the way, see these papers here? You're not going to have me read them. These are all of his awards and the names of different dignitaries, people who gave him keys to the city, kings that he met. I mean, it's just too much to go through. It would take like 7 hours. So, I mean, but the one that always stands out, at least to me, is his work at the UN, which came from such an authentic place based on his experience going to South Africa for a fight. So, Mauricio, can you tell that story?
Well, it goes back the relationship with Nelson Mandela and the fight for human equality and against discrimination goes back when he was a boy and he had to take the Greyhound bus from Texas to Boston to meet his family. And during that trip, he experienced the horrible act of discrimination and seclusion. The bus had for whites and for black, the bathrooms were separated, the restaurants, everything. There was a complete separation, and that hurt him very much. At that time, the first assignment as a supervisor internationally for him was a fight in South Africa. So he flew from New York to Johannesburg, and in that flight, the fighter who was the main event was in that flight. He was black color. They talked the whole flight, and my father told him that he was the WBC supervisor, and he was there to support him in every single thing that he needed. As soon as the door opened from the airplane, they got separated because of that apartheid regime that ruled in South Africa. So my father was not able to see him any day until he saw him at the dressing room. Even the way in was separated because he was black. When they are in the dressing room, 3 white men came in and read a testimonial in which that fighter was going to be honorary white for that night so he could go in the ring and fight. And that infuriated my father. And he thought if he ever was in position to change things, that would be his first action. And when he was elected president in 1975, he expelled South Africa from boxing. There was a ban on any promoter, fighter, trainer, manager who dealt with South Africa because of discrimination. And that led to many things. He received a letter from Mandela from prison, handwritten letter. There was a citation used in United Nations for the fight against South Africa, against apartheid. And then that picture with Mandela opening the WBC convention is one of our great prides.
Amazing. I mean, that's a movie. Who's doing this movie? We need this movie. I mean, the one thing when I think of Don Jose, I think of diversity, equality, fairness, and philanthropy. And here's a man in one of the toughest sports on the world who has a heart like a child. I mean, an innocent heart. We need to do this movie. Come on, guys. That should be it. And now all of these philanthropies that came from it. I mean, truthfully, Claudia, can you talk about your dad's relationship to his faith and his feelings about Skolos? I mean, I'd hope that Hector would be here, but I'm sure you can pick that up and just tell us what this day would mean for him today and what the whole relationship with the Pope means to him.
He was a very, very religious man. He loved our Guadalupe Virgin in Mexico. And I'm sure he would be so proud of my brothers for everything they're doing with these scholars. It's difficult for me to think, what will he do? I think for sure he would support my brothers and let them do these important acts and everything they're doing.
Well, it's amazing work that he's brought it all over Latin America, into the schools and to the poor people and to the children in prison and the juvenile detention centers. I mean, so much of who we stood for is in all of you. Fernando, you are one of the best, most compassionate fathers on earth that I've ever met. And I'm sure some of that comes from the love your father had for you. I mean, you are just an incredible role model as a dad. And Lucy, with your music.
Thank you.
Tell us about the tape you made for your dad when he was in the hospital.
Well,
what was his favorite songs?
Well, he had an iPod with all his music. He had recorded that many, many years ago, and it was an amazing collection of music, you know. I believe we all have a copy of it. And for him, music was, like for many of us, a part of life. He could not be without.
He loved raindrops, keep falling on our head, feelings, The Impossible Dream, and his all-time favorite, My Way. What Lucy did when my father was in the hospital, she recorded an album with beautiful songs for him. And we have one unbelievable picture with my father listening to Lucy's songs. That was a very sensitive.
In fact, he was listening to Mi Storia Entre Tus Dedos, an Italian song. And it was the first time he heard me. So my son, Pepe, I made him put on the earphones and put the song on. Pepe Toño. Pepe Toño.
There's only one Pepe.
That's right. Bueno, Pepe Toño put the earphones on my dad, and he asked him, tell me who's singing. And he started, you know, his face at that moment was so beautiful. It went, Lucy, your mom? And he said, yep. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I like to say hello to Devon Haney, the WBC lightweight champion. He's watching this, and he would have loved to meet my father, because Haney is the type of fighter that brings those feelings to the type of fighter my father would have loved to know and to grow through with his career.
And he has a beautiful relationship with his own father.
Yes, absolutely.
So Pepe, the older Pepe, not Lucy's son Pepe. Your father loved photography and had so many shows. And do you think that's where you got your love for it? Because you are an exceptional photographer and now a video master. But did you share that with him? Did that bring you closer to him?
I hated photography. When we were kids, he used to ask us he took lessons by mail, and he used us as
models.
As models. He sat us on stools and with backgrounds and to do his exercises. And all we wanted to do was to go out to play with the kids, with our friends, you know, on the street. And we were here stuck with my father 2 or 3 hours, and if one was posing, the other 4 were behind my father trying to make the other one laugh and do faces and all that. So when I grew up, you know, hating the camera. Then I went into the university. I majored in history of art, and I needed to take up photography because it's difficult to travel all over the world to see the art. So it's through photography. And then that part of life came together with my father. I picked up a camera. Well, when I was a kid, I used to carry the lenses for him and all that, because I didn't enjoy that much. But I did have very, very nice memories with my father, driving to several places, and then him he just got in the middle of the road and to take photos, and, you know, crazy angles that I thought back then. So when I lifted the camera for the first time, and a different relationship started with my father, a very, very nice, intimate. When he became
beautiful. And
from then on, you know, I haven't left the camera since I was, and this began maybe I was 22 years old, and now I'm almost 60. So
our secret.
From that time, it's been like that.
Pepe was very disappointed one Christmas as he got a camera as a gift for Christmas. And he was expecting something else.
How time changes things. And Mauricio, Oh my goodness. Let's enjoy that for a moment. Who is that slender mustachioed man in the middle there?
There you go. My dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Referee. That's one of the steps of the ladder.
Well, that's why, you know, at the fights, he was so knowledgeable. They say you have to get the person who knows everybody's job. That
Uh-huh.
person is the best supervisor.
Yeah.
And look at this. Mauricio?
That is at the United Nations
Yes.
when the WBC and Jose Sulaiman received a citation for the relentless fight against apartheid.
You know, your father had a genuine love for people, especially for his boxers. I mean, he just enjoyed being with people. He loved, and look at these people. It's unbelievable. I mean, I remember, everyone remembers, of course, his 80th birthday party. Who was there? What was the guest list like? That was like one of the most fun and unusual parties ever. Come on, who was on that guest list?
Everybody.
Everybody. And if you weren't, you crashed. But what a time that was.
Yeah.
Look at my dad as a baseball player.
Yes, he always said it was his second love. And I think Mauricio follows in that too. Mauricio, isn't your favorite idol Johnny Bench? After
Johnny
all
Bench,
your bet.
yeah, in baseball, Johnny Bench, and Fernando was Pete Rose.
Pete Rose. I love Pete Rose. He's a Brooklyn guy.
Yeah.
So Mauricio,
we grew
you
up.
traveled with your dad. What was it like traveling with him?
He was very nice. He was always an experience. He, regardless where we arrived, anywhere in the world, he would ask the room to be changed. He didn't like the carpet, he didn't like the lighting, whatever, he had to change the room. But Jill, let me interrupt for a moment.
Please.
Someone asked, they want to hear how it was to have Mike Tyson at dinner at home. Here's the picture when he was the world champion, when he was Mike Tyson. He went to our house in Mexico and had a dinner. And we were all there. I remember, at least I know Lucy, Claudia, and Fernando were there. I don't know, Pepe, were you there or in LA?
Yeah. No, I was there.
So why don't you say how it was for you that night with Tyson and Don King and everyone?
Lucy?
Oh, me? You're talking about me?
Yeah.
Well, that day was magical for me because I had 2 children already. And they were there and they were amazed, you know, by this enormous man, especially the old Pepe Toño. He was really surprised. But the little one was only a year old. The second, Alex, my second son. And this guy just grabbed him and held him and played with him for a while. And my son was at ease, you know, he was so happy. It was magical. It was a beautiful night for everybody.
For me, it was thrilling to see this monster in the ring. As a little kid, you know, he was happy and laughing and loving. He's a very lovable man, especially with kids, because he did embrace our kids, and I still have photos of that in a very, very loving way. And you know, talking to him, it's all fun, it's all laugh, it's like a little kid. It's like another brother. So it's that was my shock, to know him, a monster in the ring, and then see a different reality in person.
So come on, let's hear some more stories. Come
Jill,
on, all of you got some favorite stories.
That picture is when after we had some food, he said, let's just go outside. Let's see how the street is. So we went outside, Hector, his friends, and me, and we were sitting on the trunks of the cars. And the cars passing by, they could not believe They were just stopping and shocking, almost crashing, just to see Mike Tyson in Mexico City in the street, just hanging out with some friends. And I remember Claudia was singing with him. Remember, Claudia?
Of course, it was a magical night.
What were you singing?
That was not so fun. You were with Zamora, who is singing, and then Tyson grabbed you and started singing.
He used to sing so many funny songs, right?
It's a funny Mexican song. I remember.
Very,
Well,
very
Lucy,
funny.
you're the singer. Go for it.
Oh no, I can't sing that one. No, it's a little improper.
Es la de no sé qué del Nogal, ¿no? ¿Cómo se
Sí,
llama?
es la del Nogal. Yeah.
I don't even remember the name of that song, but it was very fun.
Oh, I remember the song, but no, I'm not gonna sing it. I'm sorry.
So Mauricio, I had asked you about traveling with your dad, and you said the first thing he always did was change the room. Why? And what happened after that?
Micrófono.
It must have been like a custom, just to get to the hotel and ask for change of the room for whatever reason. Then we would always have to go to the grocery store, and he would buy food as if he was going to stay for a month. Chips and sodas and fruit, cheese, a lot of cheese.
A lot of cheese. All kinds.
We all know that he had an amazing and a beautiful relationship with food. I know that when I met him in California, he was in agony, he had a kidney stone. He was heading to the hospital, but he said, let's have lunch. And we did. We had lunch. And then he hobbled off to the hospital.
Pepe, tell the story in your apartment in LA.
I had my video camera. I was just taping him, and he started eating and eating and eating like there's no tomorrow. And then somebody asked, and where are you? Because he was in a hurry. Why are you in a hurry? Because I gotta go to dinner with a friend. But, you know,
Well,
he always traveled with his camera. But the funniest thing is that he never took the camera to the ring. He photographed his WBC friends, executive committee, but never took the camera to a boxing match. I don't know why, but you know, he photographed every city, country of the world that he visited. He had his camera in his hand, except the ring. I don't know why.
you were talking about him being a fighter. Who was Don Quixote to him? Because I remember coming to your house and there were pictures of Don Quixote all over the living room walls. What did that symbolize to him?
The dream.
The impossible dream.
The dream.
You know, the Don Quixote is a dreamer. And he used to fight the windmills, and, you know, he's going against, how can I explain this?
Against all odds.
Against all odds, exactly. And that was my father's life.
And so many of his, please.
No, please go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, so many of his dreams, at least for the athletes, did come true.
Yes.
Pension fund for the athletes, Scolas came through, Boxing Cares came through, more equality for women came through, and so many other accomplishments that he started out did come through. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's one thing to have a dream, but it's another thing to actually to be able to accomplish it. It's a whole different thing.
I think Fernando is trying to look like Don King. Look at your hair.
No chance to get a haircut.
Yeah, what do you want him to do, Mauricio? All of us women are finding creative ways to cover our roots.
Exactly. That's what we're doing.
Exactly.
Let me tell you, we're going to put a couple of pictures, but before that, I want to say a story also with my father.
Please.
Again, Claudia. No, wait. Okay. Lucy, please
That's Pepe
describe
Toño.
it before. Lucy,
What?
is this? Describe it.
Oh, that's Pepe Toño when he was very little. We were at my parents' garden with him, with Muhammad Ali. When he got there, Pepe Toño was when he was small. He was kind of how do you say? He didn't like people too much. He wouldn't go with anyone, and he was crazy about Muhammad Ali. He held him, and he started, like investigating his face, and they ended up he held him for a while, and the kid was very happy. That's the kind of person Muhammad Ali was. He made the kid feel so comfortable that he never complained. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful day. So what can I say?
Yeah, he was a very, his presence was incredible. If he was in the room, there was this special energy around him that just invaded everybody, happy with happiness. He was a very, very special person, enlightened person.
Let me mention something. There he is. Look how my son was so happy with him. He was amazing. Let me tell you one thing. Well, I would like to say this. When my dad was in the hospital, he came to visit. And I guess it was a very special and beautiful moment for the whole family and for the whole staff of the ICU. They prepared everything so that they would have a nice meeting. And it couldn't be more magical than that. It couldn't. He came in, he saw my dad saw him. They both put up their fists. It was beautiful. So he was amazing. He was enormous, and so was my dad. So that's why they loved each other so much, I think.
So you see Pepe Toño at a 1-year-old, and then when the WBC crowned Muhammad Ali as the king of boxing in Cancun, there was another picture. I don't know if we have it, but that was very nice to see that cycle close with your son.
Oh, that is beautiful. That is beautiful.
What did family mean to him?
That's
Look at that.
That's
Look.
beautiful.
No, for me, it has, I don't know what to say. It's more than a meaning, it's everything.
And with the grandchildren, just as close.
Oh, yeah. You can't imagine. Pepe Toño calls him captain up to this moment. And my dad would let every one of them jump on his belly, He would let them do whatever.
Len Coivisito from Canada says that he loved talking to my father in the conventions, and he had a great conversation. And he's asking which is a funny anecdote from a convention, and it immediately hit me. And each one, hopefully you can tell your story. But one time, Japanese culture is very respectful, honorable, and very proud. So this Japanese promoter comes to my father. It's the WBC convention in New York. My father is up in the dais. So the promoter comes and gives him his name card with much respect. My father takes it with great respect. They start talking, and just 10, 15 minutes later, my father just forgot about it, and he got the name card and started going.
That's a toothpick.
These guys' eyes just went like, oh my, they opened, really opened. Like with his name card, it's sacred. So to start taking the food up. Any memories from a convention?
So many. Pepe, go ahead. Let me think of one.
Well, this wasn't a convention, but he was in the Orient, I don't know where, and he had a dinner, and he was almost late. The hotel was like bungalows. It wasn't like a tall building with rooms. It was like bungalows. So they called my father to tell him that they were waiting at the at the lobby to pick him up. So he went out of the room, started walking, just, you know, so it was dark at night. And all of a sudden he fell in the pool. He
That
thought
was
it
in
was
Bali.
grass, and it was the pool. So he fell in the pool and had to go back to change.
That was in Bali.
Vale, yeah.
Bali. Right. The poor thing, what a surprise, imagine. A lot of things happened. He was always happy, you know. He was always happy. He'd make the best of everything.
Someone
So-
says, Jay Graciano, why did my father never run for public office? That's a
That's an interesting question.
interesting question. But he was so busy. My father, the way I remember him as a kid, you know, he was the CEO and owner of our family business. It's a manufacturing company, which is now run by Claudia. He was the president of the WBC. He was the baseball coach of each one of us. Every Saturday and Sunday, he was the manager of the team. He studied photography by mail courses. He studied business administration, update courses always. I mean, he was extremely busy at all times. And I think that kept him away from ever thinking on doing any public posts.
His only post was being commissioner of Mexico City, which is a government appointed, how do you say this?
Position.
Position, exactly.
Yeah,
For
and
tourism.
also when he was young, at the age of 20, there was a club named 2030 in Ciudad Victoria. And that was a social service club that could be very close to a post in public service.
But they were men between 20 and 30 years. That's why the name, that's the reason for the name of the club, 2030. His best friends are from there, imagine.
Do you think, what would Jose give us, if he had any advice for us today with what we're going through, what do you think Jose would say?
Stay home.
Stay home.
Keep the refrigerator stocked.
Yeah.
Of course.
Without
Usually.
exaggerating, for everybody to have, and stay home.
Just patience. He always said that patience is a virtue. And if you let anxiety rule your feelings, then you are in trouble. He was a very patient man, very wise. You know, you have to use boxing into any scenario in your life. And now, through boxing, you have to defeat COVID-19. How? With a strategy. You fight this, but with a strategy. You don't go toe to toe. You stay home and you avoid the contact. And that's the way to win. You need to have a strategy and performance, but have the patience to do it.
Absolutely. Well, here was a man, he was married. How many years were your parents married?
When my dad died,
54.
yeah, 20 days from 55.
Wow. That says something about their dedication to each other.
In 2 years, going steady. There, look at him.
And this is the boulevard that was named after him.
In his
Yes.
hometown, yes.
Fabulous.
There's Travieso Arce, Chavez, there were many, many. You know, it's funny because we get a lot of notices by Google of news. So I get the notice and I'm going, oh, something, Jose Sulaiman, and it's reports of things happening in this Jose Sulaiman Avenue.
An accident.
Accident. There was a crash at the Jose Sulaiman Avenue. So you get all these Google alerts. Jose Mansour sends the best regards from Mérida. Miguel Ángel Chávez. Jake Donovan says that he loves the pictures. Jose Luis Camarillo, who was one of the favorite friends and journalists of my father, also said hello.
Look, that's our factory. Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Lucy, explain.
That's the entrance of the factory, the entrance of Controles Gráficos. And those people that you see, some of them have left this world already, but many are still here. And we love these people very much because they've worked with us and lived with a lot of our things and worked hard for the company.
Gil, do you see the one on top, the last one on top? That's Ernesto Lopez, the accountant.
That's right. That's right. That's the accountant.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
So
Wow.
he started in the company for many, many, many years. And then he left for a few years. And then my father took him back in the WBC.
And Raúl Cruz is also there, who was also a great fighter for women's boxing, right? Am I wrong with that?
Correct, correct.
Yeah, he was the one that supported that very much.
Exactly.
Well, with your father traveling so much, were there ever things like family vacations, or were they mostly beautiful dinners gathered around the home with people coming in to share stories and memories?
Tons.
My father, since we were very young, the family gets together every weekend, except in this quarantine that, for obvious reasons, we can't. But until today, the family gets together every Saturday or Sunday for lunch or for dinner. That's one of the things that my father really liked doing it, and we are still. I mean, I live in Los Angeles now, but I pictures of every weekend when they get together, and that was very strong unity, family unity. So and that we keep till today.
Beautiful pictures. And I'm sure there are hundreds and hundreds of them of him traveling. How many countries how many countries did he miss? I mean, how many countries did he go to? He traveled all over the world.
Yeah.
So I've never seen anybody who also could deal with people of every race, color, creed, background with such diplomacy. And I mean, I don't know how many of you are familiar with James Brown, but he always would do, when James Brown would walk off the stage, he'd throw off a cape and then he'd somehow back up. Well, I don't know how many times Jose would say, that is enough of the arguing. I am leaving the stage now.
Gil, who can you recognize in this picture? It's Acapulco vacation. You don't recognize anyone?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, talking to you, Jill.
Well, then I'd have to say,
who's the chubby in yellow shorts?
you. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that.
Who's the
It's
beauty
you.
with the camera?
And this,
The beauty with the camera?
your mom?
Lucy.
Thank
Lucy!
you.
Lucy!
And
That's
then
it.
the little one next to Lucy.
That would be Claudia.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
My mom is sitting down with a beer.
Is that her feet?
What do you mean her feet?
I see feet right over there.
No, my mom's sitting down with a beer, drinking.
Drinking a beer.
And then Hector with a towel on his shoulder.
Very nice. Where was this?
And me to the left with a Mando Muñiz t-shirt.
Yeah. That
That's
was
you,
you.
Pepe?
Uh-huh.
Where was this, guys?
Acapulco.
Acapulco. And where is Jose?
Taking the picture, I guess.
What the camera I had on my hands is one of his cameras.
Did he relax on these vacations, or was his mind always going clickety clickety? What's the next fight? What's the next deal?
Both.
Both. He did both. That is a beautiful picture. Look.
That is a great picture. Pepe.
Yeah.
And he would laugh like that every time we got together. He laughed and told us the new stories of the new things he had done, and we would talk to him, and it was great, because most of the lunches during the weekends were at home. And what happens when you're home is that you're able to really get together and really talk to everybody. You can hear everyone. It was beautiful.
So after all these years, how did the family stay so tight? I mean, it's a gift, but most families, there are always little problems that break them apart. Here you are, the six of you, and you're as tight as when you were children, maybe closer. How does that, what accounts for that?
Well, my mother, relentless attitude to life. She had to stay back, stay home, take care of us, going to school and be successful, understanding that my father was doing what he had to do in the era without cell phone, without email, without fax. So they had a very good understanding on the role each other played. And I believe that was the key for them to be a good couple with the role played by each one.
Outside of the immediate family, who are the people your dad was close to? And who the heck is this Don Majeski? But who are his close confidants and friends?
Uncle Toño, one of them, for sure.
He had a very, very good friend, Mr. Moran, from the baseball league. That was
Jamil
Chade.
Mr. Honda, Don King.
And you're still in touch with all of them. We're going to end this soon, so I have one question I want to ask you all. If Jose was here right now, what would you say to him?
I love you, Dad.
Oh, yeah. We say it every day. Even now, we say it every day.
That's a low blow, Jill.
Yeah.
Why?
You're gonna make us cry,
So I will cry with you.
We miss him.
I think it's important
so much,
to have a father so colorful, so intricate, so complex, so loving for so many years, and that the last thing you would say if you saw him is "I love you." What a gift you've had. It's beautiful, and it's beautiful for him, and we believe that he hears this. So, Don Jose Sulaimán, a man of passion and purpose, our guiding light, no dimmer for the passing of time. We love you, Don Jose, and we could go on for hours, but we've been told, wrap it up. So we're going to wrap it up. Does anyone have anything they wish to add? Because now you are going to cry at the next segment. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Jill, for this fantastic hour. We should do it again.
We want to say for those celebrating the holidays or just celebrating each other, take a moment to remember Don Jose. Take a moment to remember the people you love, whether you Skype them or call them or send them a letter. We learned how fragile and beautiful life is. So home, safe, cool. That's the message.
Yes.
Shall we?
Thank you so much.
Jill,
Yes.
you did a wonderful job. I mean, and I would say the harder it hurts is the best he did. It hurts because he did great. And that's the reason. Somebody wants to add anything before the video?
You will not want to speak after the video, so get it in now.
Gil, thank you very much. We love you so much. Thank you.
Love you too. Enjoy
Thank
your
you,
Easter,
Jill.
everybody.
Gracias, Vic.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Love
Muchas
you.
gracias.